Hey guys, national sales tax. IRS is gone. Life is good. Everything is simple, right? Just a national sales tax, easy peasy. It's the answer to everything. And in fact, it's why it's going to happen. No, it's not. All right. Let me explain to you the why. Because in theory, it's a great concept, right? It's simple. It says tax people when they spend the money. It's collected by the businesses. The states are already collecting sales tax. They can just collect our piece of it. That was the working theory when this was presented, or every time it's presented. The states will do it for us. All right. We don't need the IRS. There'll be no international enforcement, of course, and it just is going to solve everything. It's a great theory, but this will not work. And I want to walk you through this because, I've heard some of the comments in some of the videos. Well, you just like the IRS. I don't actually. I think, look, I think we need the IRS. I don't know about you. I pay my tax. So I would really like people to pay their taxes. Can it be improved? Yes. Could it be streamlined? Absolutely. Could we improve the online experience so most people don't need to hire a lawyer or a CPA? Yes, absolutely. All right. I'm in favor of the free file. If you have a simple W-2, why should you go and have to pay to have your return done or buy software? Go log into the government, confirm, and just get your refund or you pay whatever little bit you owe or whatever it is. Right. But I pulled some statistics for you. Right. And I think it's important. I know no one wants to sit and run through numbers, but I think this is important and it's going to drive home why I think you'll come to the same conclusion I have. Yeah, sales tax isn't going to work. So in 2022, which is the one year I could get stats on all this stuff. All right. And by the way, I got this from the IRS, from tax analysts on the Hill, and the Brookings Institute, which I think we can agree are all solid organizations. So I feel comfortable the numbers are as accurate as we're going to get. All right. In 2022, there were 153.8 million returns filed. The average tax rate for all taxpayers, the average, 14.3%. Now, if you're thinking, yeah, Eric, no. The rates are 30 and 35 and 37 and a half. No. Those are the top rates. Remember, there's a 10%, a 12%, and most people's incomes in America fall under there. The median household income, right, was $77,540. All right. That family, assuming they just took a standard deduction, paid 6.9% effective rate. Again, I'll walk you through this. All right. So 14.3% average. The top 1% paid 23% on average. The bottom half of Americans, 3.7% income tax rate on average. And 61% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And I think that's important. So, according to a study that was done a couple of years ago to cover the budget, and I'm going to get there because I think this is overblown, but to cover the budget, a sales tax, federal sales tax would have to be 30%. Now, I'm going to give President Trump and the folks at Doge and their restructuring all the benefit of the doubt and assume that they accomplish what they can think they can accomplish, um, which would reduce that rate to around 23% that we need. So, a national sales tax rate of 23%. Think about that with what I just told you, right? The bottom half of taxpayers paid on average 3.7%. So if they're in the 10% bracket, and you've got if you're a married couple, I think the standard deduction is 29,000 around there. All right. So if you paid 10%, 3.7%, all right, in the 10% bracket, all right, you're looking at, the folks that are in that bracket are living on every dime. And again, pay 3.7%. Now apply a national sales tax rate of 23%. And remember, that doesn't include the state. The states are still going to be charging their sales tax. And if your state, like Connecticut, has an income tax, it's based on the federal. Well, if the federal goes away, Connecticut's either going to have their own, or they're going to have to change things so that make their sales tax rate, and their sales tax rate is also going to skyrocket. So The folks who right now are paying, let's call it even across the board, 14%, are going to watch the rate go to 23%, and 61% live on every dime that they earn. They live paycheck to paycheck. So they're going to pay tax on every dime they spend. The top 1%, which on average are paying around 23%, the same that we think the federal rate would come in at, but they don't live on all their income. In fact, many of them live on a fraction of their income. So now that 40% that all gets, the top 1% of taxpayers pay 40% of the taxes. Okay. That is going to dramatically drop. So what would happen in this scenario is, and by the way, I'm going to go through this. This is going to compound. It's a much more difficult problem than just the rates. So one, they're going to watch their taxes that they actually out of pocket are going to skyrocket up 6 to 7 times what they're paying now. Number two, they're going to lose all of the deductions because America runs public policy through the income tax code. It's why the code looks the way it does. For instance, we like real estate. So we give a real estate tax deduction. We give a mortgage interest to try to make homes more affordable. It actually has sort of a counter effect of making them more valuable, but that's also the biggest asset many people have. That value is going to bottom out. You no longer can deduct the real estate taxes, but I can guarantee you real estate taxes aren't going to go away. The town where I live in, the hell with that. They're not cutting the real estate taxes, deduction or no deduction. So people are going to watch the value of their homes drop precipitously, their biggest asset. They're going to be paying more 6 to 7 times in many cases in taxes what they're paying now. All right. But another thing, we like charity, so we give a charitable deduction. The IRS isn't going to go away. A lot of it is international enforcement, transfer pricing, these tax treaties we have with international businesses. That's not going to be handled through a sales tax. So the IRS is, again, a couple of problems with this theory. They're not going to go away. They're never going to. I mean, no, listen, you might rename it, you might break it up into a bunch of different little agencies. It may not be the IRS of today, but the taxing authority that deals with this is not going away. Two, the national sales tax is regressive. And the reason it's regressive is it hits the people that can least afford it. Okay. Now we can have a debate about how much the wealthy should be paying. Is it fair that they should pay more just because they earn more? I mean, there's a lot of policy that we could sit here and debate. But if you really implemented a national sales tax, it would either have to be at a rate where we would have to slash the budget dramatically, and that includes the military and Social Security, which are the two biggest items in the budget. All right. Um, you could get rid of every other bit of spending, and you'd still have to hit those. Or we have a rate that will cover even the reduced budget that DOGE thinks they can get us to, but people are just going to get hammered. So you're going to watch the vast majority of Americans discover they can no longer afford to live the way they were. They cannot afford food the way they did. They cannot afford clothing. They probably can't afford their homes. Homes will be basically handed back to the bank. Bankruptcies will be rife. It will have a devastating, like atomic weapon kind of impact on our economy and the American population. And if you want to see what happens when you do that, go back and look at the history of France and the French Revolution. All right. Because when most of the populace believes that they're being punished and impoverished for the benefit of the rich, revolution happens. It happened with the Bolsheviks in Russia. It happened in France. You can go and even on Google just read synopsis. All right, all right. But if you want to study history, that's where that would lead us. So I understand national sales tax. It's great in theory. I totally get it. All right. Not going to happen. Unless we're prepared to really rip the Band-Aid off, including potentially a civil war, to deal with this. But it would be a national nightmare financially and the impact on society in ways you're probably not thinking about. I know we're looking at the rates and all that, and then that alone is a reason why it won't work. But the fallout from that. so much of our society is propped up based on public policy we have put through the tax code that would now vanish. And housing would be a big one. All right. Big one. So I hope I've given you a little bit of food for thought. I hope I've explained it. I tried not to get too technical with it. Um, but it's just not, in my mind, it's just not workable. Not with the way our society is laid out and op functions now. Could it be changed over time? Yeah, I guess. I mean, we start doing away with deductions, we start curtailing our military, start curtailing our Social Security benefits, and just cutting that way back. Over time, could you get to a point where you then could implement something like this without devastating effect? Maybe you need a lot of political will, and no offense to our politicians, I don't see too many Churchills in that group. So I don't see that happening. I think that it's really just not workable. Great in theory, but not going to happen. So national sales tax, probably not in our lifetime. Anyway, hope this was helpful. I hope I gave you some food for thought. Please go down and comment. Let me know what you think. If you think I missed something, I'll try to respond as quickly as I can. And guys, I really appreciate we keep growing. Our subscribers keep growing. If you like what we're doing here, hit like, subscribe, and share this with other folks, especially if you're a tax pro. Let's keep spreading the word to the tax community because I think there are going to be a lot of folks who need help. The IRS is going to be a shit show to deal with. I understand where Doge is going with this, and I think eventually this will work itself out and be great, streamlined and more accessible online. We are a long way off from that. And so I suspect the next 3 to 5 years are just going to be chaotic, and a lot of people are going to be looking for help. And if you're a CPA, EA, or an attorney, you're in a great position to help people. So let's spread the word, and thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.